What is more iconic than Neal Adams on Batman? An iconic artist on an iconic character. And when it comes to Batman artists, there are many great ones, but Neal Adams might be the greatest. It's debatable, but I definitely think that he is the character, or he is the person who really immortalized the character and was such a huge inspiration for guys like Frank Miller, probably the other guys after that, guys like Tim Sale, all those great artists on Batman. So we are going to just take a look here and go through this random issue of Batman that I have drawn by Neal Adams. And Denny O'Neil was the writer on the book. So, starting out, what a great opening page. I think any comic book that can have a great opening page, which I know they tried to and try to have great opening splash pages, but man. Get a little action in there with our guy Batman. I love the shadow work. I think it was Dick Giordano probably was doing the inks. Not sure. I love any time a artist can do foreshortening very, very well, and obviously Neal was no joke when it came to drawing the human figure and the foreshortened figure. Oh, we got a foot outside of the panel there. This is the beginning of Image Comics. I'm sure Jack Kirby probably did that many, many times, but very cool. I love his panel usage and the storytelling. Neal Adams is one of those guys who really was very... he believed that tracing is a good skill that an artist should have. And I feel like anytime somebody traces, their stuff feels really stiff. And for some reason, Neal Adams stuff never felt stiff. So I don't know if Neal Adams was actually tracing or not, but he swore by tracing. Let me look at that. What a great piece there. It's so difficult to draw the foreshortened figure. I love that pelvis there. Perfect cube. You can see it right there. Boom, boom, right there. Great use of shapes. Great use of negative space. Drew great guns. There's nothing wrong with, there's nothing, I mean, if you want to trace, that's totally your thing, but definitely reference is super important. I don't trace, unless it's like I'm tracing from board to board, or like sketch to board. That's the only time I ever really trace. And I love the way he does faces. I love that turn of the body. He definitely probably looked at a picture of like a pitcher, like a baseball pitcher or something. Still great. He picks this guy up. Doesn't even show him midair. It just shows him picking him up and then just throwing him. He doesn't care about him being up, which is very cool. Great cape too. Cloth. Very, very hard to draw. But Neal was a master at this point. I just love like when you start realizing that like everything is like cubes or organic shapes that you get from cubes. It's very cool seeing the planes of the face, and the lighting. This book is not in very good shape, so if it falls apart, this will not be the first time we've had a comic fall apart on this channel. Great motorcycle. Is this a backup story? Or is this part of it? Oh, it is a backup story. Well, we'll take a look at this entire issue, why not? So Neal was doing not very many pages. It feels like, huh, at the time. Maybe he was doing multiple books at the time. So we're gonna take a look at this backup page. It's backup story. Why not take a look at the whole thing? It's kind of. I was like, the art looks different, but then I sort of. I don't know. It looks similar in some ways too. But we have a backup Robin story. Why not? That's the thing about these old comic books is like I have to look through them and I just go through them so quickly. I have to find myself like going back. We're just gonna make this a Batman 245 video. Great art here. Really, really awesome art. I'm not a big fan of Robin, but they made him like more cool now than he used to be. Wow, this seems like more of a Robin book than a Batman book. Let's go back to, honestly, Neal Adams. I mean, as great as Neal Adams is like this issue is actually quite boring. I've never looked at this issue before. Not a lot going on. Probably one of those like story issues. See, this is the thing is like the cover sold you the comic. I mean, I just love this cover. It's so funny too because the arms seem weird. They seem like too close, and like, but it's so awesome, and it's like those trap. It's like the trap muscles are what got me. To be like, man, I need to get this issue. Drew great muscles and great trapezius muscles, and yeah, not a lot of action in this book, surprisingly, and it feels like it's not very many pages. I wonder what he was doing at the time. He got like, how many pages is it? It's according to this, it's 13 pages. Wow, that must have been a nice payday for Neal Adams. I love that drawing there. I still love this, but great rib cage, great anatomy, great claws. So, anyways, yeah, I just wanted to take a look. I mean, I had to cover Neal Adams on a Batman issue, and I had this one lying around, so I was like, why don't I just do a quick video to kind of get myself warmed up for the day? But yeah, Neal Adams on Batman issue 245, just kind of going through it and taking a look at Neal Adams' work. I didn't notice anything like obviously it's a beautifully drawn comic, and I'm not knocking the drawn comic, but there's a lot of backgrounds missing, a lot of close-ups. It's funny. It seems like a rush job for sure. But yeah, not very detailed backgrounds. I mean, I guess that's cool there. That one point perspective. A lot of one point perspective stuff. Yeah, so even Neal Adams cut corners. So it still looks great though. It's a great comic. So yeah, thanks guys.